All right, so this video is for students that are interested in printing their smaller photos. Okay, we're going to be using the digital press to create an imposition and then print that imposition out on really good paper using a digital press. Now, this is a really cool workflow, and you would need a $40,000 digital press in order to pull it off. So it's not that, like not all places have a digital press laying around, but it's the point that the impositioning software is very common. It's called Fiery. So the Fiery is usually standard across many digital presses. So you wouldn't have to have the expensive one or the inexpensive one. So you're really kind of learning how to do this on the Fiery RIP software. So that's what we're going to be doing, is printing the smaller variation of photos that you did in the assignment over to a digital press. Let's begin. All right, so the first thing we need to do is give the computer that has the digital press the file. So I got a very unique way of doing that, but you got to use a flash drive. So the computer that has the digital press is right outside my lab. And it should have this software already loaded up on it. Okay, so I need to get it a file that is on my desktop. So all I'm going to do is click and drag that file on there. There we go. Okay, so now I'll show you how to get that into here. All right, so the first off, you just take your photos. It should be a PDF. It should look like this, by the way. So if your PDF has over here, and then if you do this, you should see all your photos as pages. Okay, if you don't, you didn't follow the video correctly, and you probably would have individual PDFs, which you don't want that. So you want one PDF for all your common sizes. In this case, it's 4x6 for the example, and they are like 13 of them in the same thing. They're also orientated all correct. Notice that these are all portrait. Even the landscape one, there's a landscape one, and the landscape one is rotated portrait-wise. If you don't have that, you'll have to use this button right here to rotate it. So you can open an Adobe Acrobat and correct that if you need to. Okay, so make sure your PDF is correct before going to the next stage. The next stage, drag this over to the list. Okay, it's going to be under All Jobs or Held. Right click on it and go to Impose. So the max paper size that we can use on this press is 12 by 18. Okay, so normally what we do is use 12 by 18 because it's the largest format and we can do the impositioning. When we do that, is kind of a waste of paper. Okay, so sometimes we switch over to 11 by 17, but it's still a waste of paper because we ordered 12 by 18 paper. So to cut it down would be even more of a waste. So long story short, we're going to be using 12 by 18 paper. So we're going to be doing a gang up. Okay. Our sheet size is going to be 12 by 18. We want duplex off. And right now you can see that we have a layout of 1 row, 2 columns. Okay, so we don't want that. We want to see how many fit on a sheet of paper and still have crop marks. That's important. So you see that works, but our paper goes into a press the other way, so we have to have landscape for this. Okay, and we can mess around with this until we get as many as we can on a sheet of paper. All right, so here's the crux of it. We need to know where to cut these out, and we have to have enough space to be able to cut them out correctly. So the 4x6 doesn't fit well on the 12x18, but we still have to live with it. So we're going to have to back this down to 1 row. Okay. Now the next thing is, what we want to do is go to marks and define them. Go to print trim marks. Hit OK. And if I zoom in on that, you can see what that did. It gave me a trim mark right here. So with photos, generally, we would have a machine cut these out. We don't have. We do have a cutter, but it has the need of having 5 sheets max or minimum, and so we would have to cut these out by hand. All right, and this one is just a really big waste of paper. Wow. So what could we do? Good question. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably not choose 12x18 paper, but that's all we have. So let's go and orientate these this way. Okay, let's orientate them the other way and see if they work. So to do that, we go like this. We right click and say edit in Acrobat. Then we go to pages, hit Command A, and we're going to rotate these. Doesn't matter what direction. And we're going to save this. Okay, once we save it, we should be able to go back into Workstation, and they should all be orientated the other way. So let's see if this layout works better. There's always one missing. Okay, there's 4, and still a waste one. Nice. So either way, we were always going to have waste. So I would probably choose to have one less photo in the picture package. And if it's part of the assignment to have 13, which I probably am having, that is the number for some fun reason. So we're just going to go with it. I probably will not assign 4x6 as the standard for this, but that's how it goes. All right, now that we got all that done, long story short, we go into close this window out because we're done with the impositioning. That's what impositioning is the layout of many to a piece of paper, so we don't waste paper. And we go ahead and hit yes. All right, then you're going to choose to go to properties. And this is where you're going to be looking for, not the gloss, but we're going to be looking for a certain paper. So I'm going to show you how to load paper in the machine and how to choose that paper on the machine and then we'll hop back over here.
So in the paper room, you're going to be looking for this. It's called digital silk cover. This is by far some of the best to do photographs on, but if I have special paper, I usually say that in the assignment. So just know that right now we're using digital silk cover, and this was just a demonstration of how to load it in the machine. So it's this right here. We grab a good stack of it. All right, so take anything out of the bypass tray. Close the bypass tray up. Go ahead and open this one. This one opens like this. Take out whatever paper, or feel that this paper is the same paper. Go ahead and load it into the machine. Close it down. Alright, then go to paper settings. This is called tray 3. You can see that right there. So tray 3. Recall. And they should have something in here that says 18 by 12, 350 GSM uncoated. Okay, that is that paper. Okay, then go to single tray and then close. Make sure that isn't anywhere else. You can see that it's only here. The rest of them are not. If you see that any other tray, make sure you go to paper setting and go to the tray that it also has a clone of it. Okay, and choose a different paper. Just randomly. That way, the 12 by 18 350 GSM uncoated is only in one tray.
All right, so now that I've loaded the correct paper in there, I should be able to see it. So if you want to see it, just hit cancel real quick and then go right back into it. You want to choose the PBP, DBB. You want that one. So right click on it, go to properties. And sure enough, there it is. 18 by 12, 350 GSM uncoated. All right, I should be able to hit print, and it should just magically go, hopefully. Need like a webcam. That would be sweet, right? We'll get there. Printer webcam. Wow. All right, so if you've been in my lab, you know that I am schoolgirl giddy when things don't work. So here's the outcome of printing. Okay. They actually printed, but the color is horrible. So you can see they're rather dark compared to the originals. Okay. And now if I could pop over to my screen, you would know that they're a little bit lighter. When you go to print, there is the ability to choose a different color mode, okay? And a lot of times what I'm printing at is Adobe Acrobat. What I want to do is print to the printer's expectation of color, not Acrobat's expectation of color. So let me kind of show you what that means, and then we'll run another print. So I'll turn this off. We should be right. Yeah, good. So when I go to properties, here, let me close this out. Here's the printed job. I can go to all jobs and I can find it. Here's the printed one. Let's go to properties on it. In this case, same paper as before, but this time let's go to color, and then let's choose uncoated. Okay. And let's hit print. And I'll go get those and show you what those look like. All right, so I printed those out, and now I have them side by side. And you can see slight variations of them. It's very slight because also you're going through a video camera, okay? And I'm looking over on the monitor for color. Sorry. So this one is quite a bit lighter. Through the video, it might still be darker, and it's very slight. But that's the crux of this assignment, is the pictures are going to be rather dark because it's about the lighting. It's not about the objects. So what we're looking for is the visual of these little lights right here, how they starburst out, and does it capture that? It does. Okay. But when you go to print something, it's always going to be a smidge darker when it comes down to it, especially with photographs. Sometimes you got to punch it up, make them print ready. But that's how you choose the different variations of color. All right, so that's the end of how to get your photos over to the digital press. Now we'll work on color in another area. Color management is just a whole different animal. But for right now, this is just output of that on a digital press. So I hope you enjoyed.